Sebastian, how does blockchain make journalism more accurate?
Blockchain was invented to bring transparency and accountability. Blockchain was invented for timestamping digital documents. A timestamp is a unique fingerprint of a piece of information that's saved in a blockchain. And from that moment, you can always prove that that information existed at that specific moment in time. You have two things. Firstly, transparency, from what moment this information existed, and secondly, accountability. So that's the base of timestamping. That's what we fight for. For all information that matters, uh, like terms and conditions, journalism, government information, it should be timestamped. If you don't timestamp in a few years from now, what are you hiding?
So understood. So a journalist writes a bit of copy
Yeah,
and then gets it spell checked and then gets Grammarly run over it.
yeah,
So it's now been modified twice, once
yeah.
by spell check and once by Grammarly. How does the timestamp manage that?
Even if you just change one comma or a punctuation, whatever, the full fingerprint of information changes. So what you want to do is with every revision of information, you do a new timestamp. And it's kind of a time machine for information. What you can choose is showing the revisions of content. Hey, this was the first version. This is how we changed it. This is how we changed it. Because changing information is not a problem, but what we fight for is transparency.
So I understand that, but what I'm trying to work as you're talking is I'm trying to work out why it's actually useful. I mean,
in
I understand it would prevent cutting and pasting with plagiarism. I understand that it would identify the use of AI. But if those two aren't used by a journalist,
Yeah,
why is it useful to have blockchain?
it's hard to prove that you didn't use AI, of course, but on your question, it's what is the invention of blockchain? For the first time in history, in a fully open source, so fully transparent way, it's possible that you to prove that you didn't tamper information, because the
So with a good journalist who's honest and happy to be transparent, blockchain is, if you like, of limited value. But for a journalist who takes shortcuts and does plagiarize and does say cut and paste or copy from the New York Times and use similar phrases, then they are going to get caught out. Is that correct?
um not necessarily. It's the second part is correct, but the first part, um a journalist has a reputation within their audience,
Yeah.
but not outside their audience. Um, what a timestamp does is it's an infrastructure for reputation. So even as a top tier journalist, you can, if you timestamp your information and tie your identity to it, um, you can build a reputation that's universal across the whole internet. The problem on the internet currently, the biggest problem in search engines is because of AI, it's very hard to distinguish content from AI or not AI. And because the upcoming generative AI movement, what you see is there's so much information produced that a search engine can't digest it anymore. There's too much information produced to index it and to rank it.
Right. So in a nutshell, then, blockchain will distinguish authentic journalists and their work from, if you like, misinformation.
You can still timestamp misinformation. And here comes the most interesting part, a part that Europe is interested in, a part that search engines are interested in. Once you have transparency in an open source way, and once you have accountability connected to it, what you can do is create a relationship between how transparent you are and how far information can travel in algorithms. What you always have is freedom of speech. You can publish anything, but not necessarily automatically freedom of reach if you don't take transparency and accountability, which is a big step forward for the internet, what we believe.
So how many clients have you got so far?
We have around 1,500 websites using it. Part of them, some of them are the biggest news outlets, for example, in the Netherlands. And over almost 6 million articles have been timestamped yet. So it's one of the real world use cases of blockchain.
So which big recognized publishers are using your blockchain technique?
So one of the largest in the Netherlands with over 50 million monthly page views is the NRC. It's part of Media House. Then we did a pilot with, it's called DPG Media. They're mainly, or those two are, yeah, together they are the leading publishers here in the Netherlands.
Right. And does an article have a stamp of some sort to say legitimized or certified blockchain?
Yeah, so it's called a timestamp certificate, which everyone can use on the website. What many parties, including it's the universities, but also the continents, Europe is doing a lot of work. There's a whole framework around digital identity rising at the moment, and ideally, if you get a certificate from a university, you get it in your blockchain wallet as well. And that's what most governments worldwide are working on. What you can then do is publish your, if I write a blog or an article about a health thing, and I'm a doctor, 5 years back, I got my certificate in a doctor science. What I can do if I send out an article is connect it to the certificate I got. And what the receiver of the information can do is, hey, I have a medical question or I want to do research. I only want answers from people who have a certificate or got a certificate on one of those universities in the last 10 years. You can narrow down the internet, or you have an infrastructure to really dig down into what the provenance of the information is, where it's coming from.
Where's this going to take us? What's going to be, if you like, blockchain 2.0?
Blockchain is not that interesting. The innovation that blockchain brings is that for the first time in history, that it's possible to really prove that you didn't tamper with information. Two things are needed. One, it could be all the search engines, all the algorithms in social media that rank based on a timestamp-ish system. More parties are working on this. Adobe is working on this. And secondly, it could be governments making it mandatory, not for all information. There's entertainment, there's stuff like that, but information that makes me that impacts my life decisions. That could be buying decisions, that could be voting decisions, that could be any news as well. News is part of that. Without news, no democracy. If information matters, the citizens, society deserves a way to prove that who the sender of the information is and how the information changed over time.
Sebastiaan van der Laans, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me. That was great fun.